Okay, this is my first video examining why Orthodox Jewish apologetics are so bad. This video is by Rabbi Mordechai Becher. Let's give a listen to how we know the Torah is true.
We can first of all look at the Jewish tradition, which we have person to person all the way back through history.
Which tradition, and how will you prove that?
I heard about the Exodus from Egypt from my father, who heard about it from his father and grandfather.
You heard exactly what about the Exodus, and how will you prove that someone living in 800 BC heard exactly the same thing?
And Jews all over the world have been holding a Seder, a Passover Seder, with matzah, with the 4 cups of wine, with maror, bitter herbs, relating the story of the Exodus.
Prove that someone living in 800 BC had a Seder and related the same things that you do.
We have been doing the same thing about the story of the revelation at Sinai. And the revelation at Sinai is utterly unique amongst religious traditions. I think this is my main point. Not most, but all religious traditions, with the exception of Judaism, have revelation stories.
I tend to doubt that's the case. Revelation seems to be connected with religions that feature a cryptic God. If you have gods just walking around all over the place like pagan religions, you don't really need revelation.
But what is unique about the Judaism's revelation is that it was a revelation of God to an entire nation.
Right, that's the story that you kind of get in the Bible, although it has a lot of contradictory details.
It was not to an individual. It was not to Paul on the road to Damascus. It was not to Jesus in a cave. It was not to Hare Krishna in the woods. It was not to Joseph Smith in a cave in New York State Forest. It was not to Muhammad on the mountain.
Well, right, as far as we know, it was not to anyone, because it's a story. So, I'm sure the rabbi is well aware that the mere fact that a story describes many participants does not make it anything other than just a story.
It was to the entire Jewish people at Mount Sinai. That's a very unique story of revelation.
Maybe it is, maybe it's not. What difference does it make if it's a unique story or not?
A story which is very difficult to convince people of if it didn't happen to those people.
How do you know whether it happened, and how do you know whether anyone was convinced?